What's going on, guys? Welcome to week 4 of the Tawkin Chop podcast. We just wrapped up a 5-1 week. Go Braves. We got the whole squad here tonight. This is the first with all 4 of us. My name's Kevin. You guys want to go around the horn real quick, introduce yourselves?
Hey, Will White here.
Yeah, Ty Statham.
Steven, aka Esteban.
Yeah, Steven's down in Peru right now, bringing in the international crowd. But yeah, man, the Braves are they're just being the Braves. 5-1 week, 7-2 homestand, taking care of business against the bad teams, of course, Marlins, the Guardians, and the Rangers we had last weekend. Obviously, we talked about it on the last podcast, but I think overall it was just a really cool, really good homestand, and we saw some really good signs from guys like Riley and Olsen who've been struggling a little bit, and so yeah, we I guess we'll go through and kind of talk about it. So game 1, I mean, really we can kind of summarize all of these 3 Marlins games as the Braves just took care of business against a not great team.
Yeah.
We can go through and talk about them if you want, but Elder had his first start, 6.2 innings, 8 hits, no runs. Like
Looked
he started in
incredible.
AAA again this year. Like, let me
The
just bring
best
him
part
up.
about his start was no walks. Really, that's the best thing I saw from him that day.
Yeah. Wish we would have
Dark
seen that
contrast.
yesterday, but
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like the talking point here is the distinction between what we saw at Elder on Monday against the Fish and what we saw out of him yesterday against the a better line Guardians. Uh, but nonetheless, got to give credit where it's due. He mowed him down. It's really,
Worked
really
very
good.
quickly too, right? Very few
Yeah,
pitches, lots of ground balls.
yeah.
there were
Aside from the
several. Go ahead.
Yeah, aside from the beginning of the game, he led off the game with 3 hits, I believe, three consecutive hits, the first 3
Yeah,
batters, and then
they
scored.
went a double. There's no way that a team goes double, single, single, and doesn't score unless you're the Fish, right? I think RS, I can't remember who it was, but they called him in no man's land on the going to home. It was just an easy tag at home, and I'm just going
Yeah.
because when that hit came out, I was like, oh man, there goes a. I was like, Elder's back to his normal stuff, but
Yeah,
fish are gonna fish. The fish are gonna flop.
Yeah, and I think it's funny when people say what you just said, like Elder's normal stuff. Let me look up his stats real quick because they're actually not that bad.
I
I would
think
be
we're like
Elder.
interested.
20. We're 23 of like 33 wins with him on the mound, I believe, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Something
that's
like that.
correct.
Yeah. For a career, he has 43 starts, 3.55 ERA, 15-8 record. Um, like out of your number 5 guy. Like,
Yeah,
I'll take that all day.
I would be interested to see, and maybe this is something we can follow up with next week, but see what his career stats are against teams with a winning record and teams with a losing record. Because I know
Ooh.
Will and I went to the game. I think all 3 of us were at the game yesterday, but Will and I went together, and I think that was something we talked about on the way in, is that perception, we'll see what the stats say, but perception, at least on my end, is that he seems to do really well with the Marlins, the Nationals, the bottom feeders in the league, and may struggle a bit with with the tougher lineups. And I don't know why that's the case, or even if that's true, but I think it's a hypothesis worth testing here.
I think a big deciding factor with the Elder's success too is the ump's strike zone. Because I remember several instances yesterday. Like I was at the game, so I couldn't really see the balls and strikes that well, but I went back and watched like the replays and stuff. And there was a bunch of calls that were like borderline that, he was dotting the corners, but wasn't always getting the call. So I feel like that definitely plays a factor as well.
Yeah,
But
they
one thing that,
indicated
go ahead.
they indicated on the radio that it seemed like his sinker might have been sinking a bit too much.
Mhm.
We couldn't see it really either, but that it was kind of losing the bottom of the zone. He was missing a lot of pitches low. So I don't know, having a sinker that moves too much seems like a good problem to have, and hopefully something that can be accounted for. But whether it's the umpire's zone or his ability to kind of control placement, I think definitely he's got to live on the flat. Like everybody knows he doesn't have the stuff to throw it by his stuff that we see out of Strider and some of the other folks on our staff. So uh, definitely ends up with like a small margin of error. But to your point, fifth starter, Like you should be happy with somebody that's going 500 and eating up innings. You know, I want 5 innings and a 3-run ball game when you leave. That's what I'm looking for out of the fifth starter.
Yeah, 100%. Because like a recurring theme on this podcast is that this offense is going to bail them out of like really anything they get in trouble. Like really the whole goal of the Bryce Elder type role is just to keep us in the ball game. Don't blow it. Don't give up a 9 spot. You know what I mean? Granted, they probably wouldn't be in there that long to do that, but um, I think that's really the big thing with guys like Bryce Elder and anybody else who comes up from AAA is to just keep them in the ball game. Pitchers are gonna give up runs. They're gonna give up hits. Like that's part of it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of trying to limit that. And one thing, they talk about on the broadcast a lot too, is that he's just really good at, when he does get some traffic on the bases, he can kind of lock it in, get that ground ball, get a double play, and you're out of it.
That's what I got
Yeah.
reminded of when I was there at game one Monday. Was I forgot because I hadn't seen him in a while. But like, man, we can get out of any of these spots and with one pitch with that double play ball on the ground with him. So
Mhm.
he always, even when he gets into danger, you feel like, okay, we're just one pitch away from getting out of this. So you saw that definitely game one, and you got a little bit of that in yesterday's game. So, but again, it's just I think it's really on him. It's whether or not he creates that traffic for himself with walking people or not is really where he gets into trouble.
I saw our infield making some plays too. We hadn't really been kicking the ball around too much. A couple of plays to the plate to get big outs this past week.
Yeah, and that game
Orlando
four against
Arcia
the
yesterday, man. Whew.
And Riley too. I mean,
Yeah.
Arcia has been on another planet defensively. I was absolutely shocked at how close the like the Ozzy flip play. I don't know what you call this, but it would have been, I guess, the 4-6-3 non-double play.
Yeah.
I didn't think Arcia should have thrown it, and then he almost got him. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a close play, but the runner beat it by a step.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So
And that pick he made on Ramirez yesterday, trying to steal second, perfect catch. And granted, you have to give some credit to I think Darno was in the game at that point. It was
yeah,
Darno's throw. But man, like in real time, I was like, "There's no shot. He's out." And then you go and look at the replay. You're like, "Oh my goodness!" And like tagged him
It
like
took me
that.
like
That's crazy.
5 times rewatching the replay in the stands from my phone to even figure out how the hell they pulled that off.
yeah.
It was just a perfect throw. It hit him basically in the back of the leg.
Yeah, I was telling you
Two
guys
caught
before.
stealings.
I think
Yeah,
there was
Two
like
caught
4 in the
stealings there.
game
One at
yesterday.
third, and well, I mean, it was like the two
intent.
to get them out of the 10th inning. Like they were pretty ballsy on the base paths and kind of nipped
Yeah,
them in the bud. We'll take it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Unbelievably bad base running on their end in the 10th inning. Like, how do you? That's not. It's things the Braves don't really do, right? They don't seem to give games away like that.
was that when Minter was pitching, and they picked off
He,
the runner going to third too? Is that in the
Yep.
same inning?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was
Got the
telling you
lead
guys.
guy.
I was telling you guys before we started recording, I was at the game and we had some Guardians fans that were sitting right behind us and they were pretty obnoxious, but just from the things they were saying, you could tell they like don't watch a lot of baseball. But yeah, they were not happy when that happened and it was funny because like through the first couple innings, they were they were basically
Nice
like
catch,
oohing and
Quan.
awing in every pitch. Yeah. Yeah, they were like nice catch, Quan, when it went to right field. And me and myself, I'm like, Quan's in left field, dummy. Um, but like they were happy when they scored a few, and I was like, okay, just wait, just wait. I didn't say anything. There was one point where the guy, Riley was coming up to bat, I think in like the 8th. I think it was when he smoked that one to left that looked like a homer. But uh Riley was coming up to the plate and he was like, "Oh, come on, this guy sucks." And I turned around, I was like, "Did you say Austin Riley sucks?" He's like, "Oh no, I was talking to our pitcher. We need to get him out of there." Like, oh, okay. Um, but anyway, yeah, I feel like the Guardians definitely they definitely could have won that game for sure.
Man, we thought the Mets in was it 2022 or 21 when they would just get weak contact but get through the infield where it would just like death by 1,000 cuts. Was that 21 or
That
no? It
was
had to be
22.
2022. Yeah, it was 22.
2022.
So it was
Yeah.
this team. Jesus, I thought the Mets were annoying with that. This was the most aggravating thing I've ever seen.
Especially in that game 2 on Saturday
Yeah.
night in like
Saw
the
more
8th or ninth
bunts than
inning
I've
they scored
seen.
2.
Yeah. Didn't they get 3 runners on, basically bunting like consecutively?
One was like a swinging bunt, and then Quan actually bunted, got on base, and then there was another like swinging bunt, essentially infield singles, 3 infield singles.
Yeah, super
And then I
annoying.
think they got another infield single. I think it ended up being like a fielder's choice. I think he was out at first, but it scored the run.
That's correct.
Yeah, baseball, man. Like they're hitting balls 30 miles an hour and getting on base. Meanwhile, we're smoking balls 110 and
Ground
it's an
out.
out.
Yep.
Yeah, no kidding.
Really
Baseball
shared it.
is weird.
Well, one thing's for sure, nobody was getting anything on Max Fried that second game of the Marlins when he threw a Maddux. So we can talk about that since that was one of the bigger points of the week.
Man, he was so crisp, man. He had such command on all of his pitches, like just dotting everywhere and making them look silly. That was really fun to watch.
Locked in, just straight locked in. What did I write here? Maximus Decimus Meridius Fried.
And I don't care. You can say like, oh, it's the Marlins or whatever, but like they're still a major league baseball team. You know what I mean? It's hard to do that against anybody. Granted, if it was against the Dodgers or something, you're like, okay, yeah, like this is the real deal. But still, like against the Marlins, that's still very impressive, especially in today's game. Like just the way people are swinging for the fences, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It was really cool to
It's
watch it.
just it's just really hard to stay locked in for I think any pitcher at any major league level, like up to like double A. If you pull that off, if you pull a Maddux off, that's impressive to do. I don't care who you are or who you're playing against. And then for anybody that's watching that doesn't know what a Maddux is, right? So you have Greg Maddux, Hall of Fame pitcher. He pitched for Braves for us for a while, also notably the Cubs. Um, the we're calling this outing when you get a complete game, so you pitch all 9 innings, under 100 pitches thrown, and it's a shutout. So that's a Maddux for you. And what I thought is kind of cool, once that happened on Tuesday, I was impressed. I don't know why I never realized this before, but like calling a game of Maddux isn't even like a Braves, vernacular term. Like everybody recognizes that in MLB. So
Mhm. Pretty
Only
sure the
say
yeah, the,
MLB,
29.
pretty sure the
yeah, it
MLB
was
account even
29 batters
posted
faced.
something. Yeah.
And I was looking it up. So if you look up like all the Maddux games that are thrown, Braves have 25 in their history. Toronto has 17, and then next is Pittsburgh at 16. And there's a few more teams down at 15, but like far and away, way more than anybody. And then of those 25 wins we have, Maddux threw. Okay, I tried to find this stat. I guess it's kind of convoluted because it's before StatCast era or before it was tracking. But the number I landed on was Maddux has thrown 13. I've seen different numbers on that. So Maddux has 13 Maddux games. Glavine has 5. Free just pulled off his 4th. So
Is that good?
I
I
think
don't know. You tell me.
it speaks a lot to the culture, to be honest with you, right? Like you've got you've got a team, and we're talking about generations of difference here, right? I mean, I think Maddox and Glavine, and they've got no real influence on Max Fried. I mean, maybe there's more involvement than I realized back then. I don't know. It's impressive. It's not an accident. I mean, this team clearly is always made the investment in the starting pitching. It shows. So,
Maybe it's kind of coming down from the Bobby Cox, Brian Snicker leadership effort. I think, guys come here, they expect to play every day in the lineup. Guys who take the ball, they want to throw.
yeah,
That's another thing. You don't see it these days with guys having the 100 pitch limit. And not that it even got to 100, but typically they'll pull you just because you got the lineup coming around for the third time rather than giving you a shot. And I don't think our guys are necessarily as willing to pull people.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. The whole pitch count thing, that's a whole different topic we could talk about with nursing pitchers and still having crazy amounts of injuries. Um, but yeah, man, Max Fried, like I would love to see him. I put him back in my lineup on my fantasy team this week. I had him on the bench the past couple weeks because he was struggling a little bit. I wish he was in there this week or this past week when he threw the Maddux, but hoping for a good
And
start from him
he
tonight in Seattle.
he needed it, man. Like it was
Yeah.
just one of those start of the seasons where it's like, look, we know for those of us that have watched Freed enough, and we think we talked about on the last one where he pulled up his stats from the past 3 years. Like, we know what he can do. It was finally just like, show me, right? So he did it in resounding fashion, right? He went above and beyond, like, okay, I've been struggling, watch this. So that was nice to see. And all of a sudden, if you had any doubts about our rotation, then boom, we're right back in it, like feeling comfy about it. So it was very comforting for me as a fan to see, and I'm sure Max was pumped up. We'll see if you can repeat that same. I'm not expecting a Maddux out of him tonight, but let's see how close he can get to it.
Yeah, I think that brought his ERA down to like under 5, I think, which isn't like good overall, but considering the start that he had, I think that's pretty solid. I think we'll probably see him settle, by middle to end of season, right around 3, somewhere around there. Um,
That's
but yeah,
crazy to think that in one game he didn't finish a single inning, and then a couple of starts later he completes an entire game.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Baseball's weird.
to be fair, that game that he didn't get out of the first inning, he should have been out of it because that ball right down the middle to
Yeah,
Oh my
Castellanos.
God.
Yeah.
He mentioned
That was
something
absurd.
about having a conversation with somebody before the game, just kind of in passing. I forget who it was. Probably one of our pitching coaches said, next time you take the mound, I want to see a complete game. I don't know that he was referencing like going the distance. I think he was referencing just getting into his bag. But sure enough, he took that to heart.
I think that was Darno actually who said that to him. Because I
Oh,
remember
really?
hearing that too.
Speaking of Darnell, man, what was that? 5 dingers and 8 at bats. Was that on last week's episode? Because I was away that week. No,
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 that
that
was
was this
Well, I
weekend.
mean,
Wait, wasn't it?
no, I mean, we touched on it because
it
it
was like
was the
last weekend.
Rangers.
it spanned
But
both.
he did, yeah, he got the 5th home run on that Monday against the Fish. So that was, at that point, it was
That's right.
8
That's
at
right.
bats because he didn't play on Sunday against the Rangers. So on that, when he hit that 5th home run, that was 5 home runs and 8 at bats. And of course, I saw the internet chirping like, "Oh, he must be on steroids. He must be cheating." So, but yeah, I think he was 10 for 20 this week. Or it might be 10. No, I'm sorry. It might be 10 for 20 this homestand. Darno was. So
I can see that. Darno just finds that other gear, man, when the team's struggling. He always comes up with the clutch hits. Even
but what I like to see
yesterday.
about him, he's just
Yeah.
swinging. He doesn't even look like he's trying. He's just putting it out there. And then it's a topic I want to get into too. But he's the only person I've seen this whole past week to be able to put the ball out of the field in left field. So I don't know what he's doing, but he needs to tell everybody his secret.
So something I heard on the 755 podcast with David O'Brien and Eric O'Flaherty, they were saying that I'm kind of out of the loop on like bat sizes and stuff, but he uses a much larger bat than all the other guys on the team. It's like 3 inches longer than all the other guys because he stands way outside the box a little bit because he hates getting jammed, supposedly. So he gets a huge bat with a really big barrel, and he just kind of tries to, you know, slap it out there, I guess. But I don't really know
Maybe you
how
get
all that
that
works.
bigger barrel. I bet that would, diminish the drag coefficient, right? Tech guys, if you slap it and you've got less wind coming, on top and below the ball, gives you a little launching pad.
Yeah, I don't really know how all that science stuff works.
Yeah,
Drag coefficient, funny enough, is actually in the notes. That's something that we're going to talk about when it comes to a potential dead ball happening in
it's
MLB
so
this
damn
year.
dead. It's so damn dead. Like that
Yeah,
ball Riley hit yesterday. Like, don't get me started. And did you see the? And we can hold off. We talk about it in a minute, but
I've got some notes pulled up. We can talk about it now if you want. I don't care.
I think it's the Fanatics. Fanatic is making the ball too.
Oh, they are?
No,
They're
but
pulling
they
the
Oh,
might as
jerseys. Do
well
you see
be.
that?
Yeah.
I thought that was real.
No,
Let's
definitely
finish
not
up the
real.
Marlins first, though. Okay,
Yeah, let's
so
finish up the Marlins.
Fish fry
Um,
complete. Lopez goes out there, throws 7 innings. He gave up 1 home run. I
that
think
ball
that
was
was Ronald
crushed, by the way.
Jr.
It was like
Yeah.
roof of chop
It
house.
was it went into the bottom of the chop house. So like not the upper deck, not below the chop house, but the main level. It went through the door. I saw it happen. As soon as it came off the bat, Ronald didn't even move his feet. It was just like, yep, that's gone.
Yeah, that's okay though.
Oh
Whatever.
yeah. I mean, his ERA is sitting at 0.72 for the year. So another great outing from Lopez, goes 6+, limits his walks. He's just pitching filthy.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's
still not getting the
still
love.
efficient.
Still not getting the love from the media about how good he's pitching just because he's under that like minimum innings number or whatever. Since he's only pitching like once a week rather than every 5 days.
The
But
best thing I'm
yeah, man.
seeing with him too, though, is so we have all these concerns with his longevity and how many innings he can pitch. But what I'm really seeing out of him, he's not gassing it, right? He's not going at 100%. And he knows how to do that from his time as reliever. He's out there pitching like how we're talking about
Yeah.
Maddux and Glavine. Like he's out there being a pitcher and he's got that extra gear when he wants it. I saw him get up to like 96, 97 in some spots, but he's really just throwing in the, low 90s, throwing his change and his sliders in the 80s and the 70s sometimes. And he's
Yeah.
just making guys look silly and not having to overwork himself. So, I mean, I'm starting to believe that it's realer than I hoped it was, that we can actually see him as a legitimate, piece of our rotation. I mean, at this point, God, I hope so, because I'd argue to put him at like the number 2 spot in a playoff series, the way he's pitching now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a long way to go to get there, but yeah, I mean, he's the best pitcher we've had. Well, I don't know, Chris. It's certainly not Max
Consistent.
Fried, right?
He's the
Like
most consistent we've had.
yeah, I mean, he's been, if you had to start a playoff series tomorrow, I think you're throwing Sale 1 and Ronaldo Lopez 2. Like Max, love you, but like, and again, like
Yeah.
it's, what is it? Is it April? Still April,
Yeah.
right? Like things
Yeah.
will change. But if the playoffs started tomorrow, like Sale is definitely getting the ball for game 1, and I have a hard time believing you don't give it to Lopez in game 2.
And I like that too. And that's what they've done now. So when they had Vines up and they brought Elder up and we got that extra day of rest, they also used that to reset the lineup. So now you have Max 1. So before you had Freed and Sale back to back. So you had 2 lefty arms. And I think they did that in the beginning of the year to kind of give us an advantage over the Phillies hitters when we were up there for the opening series. But now they've slotted Lopez in between the two, so we've split up the left-handed arms. So
Mhm.
that's something they've also done, just playing with the lineup too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And even though they do that, like Sale and Freed are so much different because Freed is kind of over the top sinker slider and
Yep.
then a curveball, obviously. And then Sale just has this crazy motion that makes people look silly.
Yeah.
Um, and Sale's a fucking dog, dude. He's got that like competitive spirit that everybody's been talking about throughout the whole offseason, but it's really cool seeing him pitch and like how excited he gets and how into it and how fucking pumped he gets.
Yeah, he had a great game 4. Let's finish up this game 3 against the Marlins because the start from Lopez was great. We ran into some trouble there at the end with Iggy giving up 2. It's like they had been shut out until that one home run, and then but honestly, they weren't doing much other than that one bomb. And then finally in the 9th, Iggy comes in, and it's like the Marlins woke up for the first time in 27 innings. But what I loved about that, though, I mean, it was the bend don't break, but really bend don't break because we saw incredible defensive plays out of Arcia in the 9th, coming home to, I think Darno was in by that point, but it might not have been. And then once we got out of that, you had Riley with that incredible play on his knees, spinning, and then just darts it to the plate, throws him out at home, and rest history. But and then it gets followed up by AJ Minter comes in the 10th. I think we got into some danger, but he knew he had I think there was 2 outs. There were 2 men on second and third. And it just kind of goes to show because Minter right now is, I think, our hottest relief arm. I think he's got 10 wins. Oh, no, sorry, 5 wins, which is the exact same amount of wins as Glasnow and somebody else right now. So
He's
he's
tied
tied
for
for
the
the most
MLB lead.
wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes in, he knows he's got a base empty. So and De La Cruz, the Marlins designated hitters up to bat. And he's like, I'm gonna pitch this guy real carefully, just because he knew he had the open base. So he took a gamble on himself, thinking like, I've got the stuff to go get Jazz Chisholm if he comes up, which is exactly what happened, right? So we walked De La Cruz, just weren't being aggressive, and then boom, 2 outs, strikes out Jazz Chisholm in the 10th to seal the game. That was the height of that game. It was, I'm not gonna lie, I was sweating bullets, stressed out, but I thought that was some real impressive stuff by Minner right there. He's got he's got almost just as big balls as Nutsack, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree. Yeah. We need to lock him up, man. This is his last year. So
Yeah.
need to lock up Mentor. I actually saw a clip from him today. I think it was from the Braves Fest like thing before preseason. And a kid asked him why he played for the Braves or why he chose to play for the Braves. And he said that, well, he kind of explained like the draft and how that works. And he said, but there's a picture of me as a kid, even though I grew up in Texas in all Braves gear and I loved watching the Braves. I grew up a Braves fan, so it's like really cool to be able to play for the Braves. It's the only team I've ever played for, and I'd love to stay here. Like, do it. Do it, AA. Come on.
You know, he lives in the Battery.
I did not know
Oh, he
that.
does. I knew he was
Yeah.
like had a reputation for like partying
He's
in the
all
Battery.
over he's all over my girl Haley Hart's, that bartender from Taps and PBR. She's always like taking photos and videos with him. One time he was in Taps at PBR or Taps at Feast, and some dude was like willing to get his head shaved in that kind of like mohawk mullet type thing he was rocking for a while. So he goes upstairs and grabs his clippers and did it right there on the patio. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
he's quoted as saying like he loves being around and interacting with fans, and anytime he's got family in town, they can just crash upstairs at his place.
That's super cool. What a life to live, to be a professional baseball player, and especially to live like right there in the Battery, just like walk down, go to work, and for a Major League Baseball team, go pitch, and then just
Yeah,
walk
I
home.
mean, how old is he? Like 27, 20, 25, 26, something like that.
I think he's probably
I
like
want to say 30,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
something around there. I gotta look
He's
it up
de-
now.
yeah.
He's 30.
He's been around for a while. Like he was the closer. Like he was a closer in 2019 before we went out and got Melanson, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or he and Luke Jackson split it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has been
He's
around a minute.
been around for a minute, and he's been through some trials and tribulations too. I mean, that guy's been sent down. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me one bit if when he left to go to Gwinnett, if I recall correctly, he like, couldn't throw strikes, so he was throwing meatballs, and he got to walking people or getting rocked or some combination of both. A lot of guys don't come back from that, but he's got some hair on his chest now. Having been sent down, brought it in, and I mean, I think that's part of why he's got the marbles when it comes in those tough situations. That he's seen a lot, been through a lot, and he's had his wins and he's had his successes and his failures, and I think that really builds on someone, builds some character. So yeah, he's awesome. Hope we lock him up. I hope. I'm worried some team's gonna go try to make him a closer though, and similar to some starting pitcher. I don't. If that's the case, I question whether the Braves will own it to cash. But we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I would love to see him here. He's 5-1 this year so far with a 1.32 ERA, 14 games, 13.2 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts, .585 whip. Just like dominating dudes.
Yeah.
Would definitely love to see him in the Braves uniform for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
He can get lefties and righties out too. He's not like a typical lefty reliever that's like a lefty specialist type thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
He can get guys out from both sides.
Yep. So I don't know if y'all are interested, but I ran some numbers in the background on Elder. So he's pitched 45 innings against Miami. That's by far the most innings pitched against any opponent. He's got a 2.96 ERA against those folks, owns them. But against the rest of the league, he's still sub four. He's like 3.8 against the rest of the league. So
that's good for him.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like anyhow, my hypothesis was wrong. Right? Like, he does fine. It's not like he's super bifurcated performances. Where he plays against the bot, plays really well against bad teams and really poorly against.
I wonder if you just took out the second half of last year and ran his like total career numbers without those last like 10, 15 starts where he struggled.
I don't know. I was
Yeah.
throwing together a spreadsheet here. One thing that does stand out is he got rocked by Arizona and Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah,
ERAs
that
over
game last year.
Yeah, Arizona, Tampa Bay, totally rocked there. So
That Tampa Bay series, that was right before the All-Star game last year. That's when the elder trouble started.
Yep.
yeah,
Because he was cruising before that, and then we're like, okay, I had one bad go, and then we never got to see that first half again.
yep.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think it was just that he never pitched that many innings in his career and just
Well,
kind of got
that's something
tired.
he's talked about in interviews. Is it's not maybe it's the physical part of actually doing it. He said the biggest takeaway from last year is the mental strain it takes on you. Like he said, now I know what it's like to have to be locked in for an entire regular season. Because I mean, with a guy like him, right? He doesn't have the gas to blow it by you. He's got to be hitting his spots. So he's got to be mentally sharp every time he gets on the mound, every inning, right?
Mm.
So you've got that over the course of 162. Like, I think that's what he wasn't ready for. But
Yeah.
supposedly he's got a better idea. So we shall see.
And don't get me wrong, like I don't want to be a Bryce Elder fanboy and say he's the next coming of like Randy Johnson or Greg Maddux or something. Like I don't want him starting game one of a playoff series, but like for who he is and like the role that he plays on this team, I think he's great.
Yeah.
Honestly, we just need a little bit better than what we saw yesterday, right? Like even with the outing he had yesterday, I'll take that from him. I mean, I would prefer him to clean up the walks and the trash on the traffic on the base path. But like if he can pull out 2 runs, 5 innings every time, I will stamp that every single time.
Yeah,
especially with this
100%.
lineup. That's what we always talk about.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Cool.
Other
Let's talk about
stat.
this Guardian series real quick. Sorry, Ty, go ahead.
One other quick stat pull: Ronaldo Lopez fastball last year averaged 98 miles an hour, and he's down to 95 this year. So just validating what you were saying. He's definitely not gassing it up pitch after pitch, but I think we've seen it at times when he needs it. Like I think he can reach back, particularly late innings, when he knows he's on, he's kind of on his final batter. So he can throw it by that when he needs to, and that's something we see out of Fried all the time. Fried can top out at high 90, but usually sits there at 93, 94. Those pitches. So yeah, love what I'm seeing out of Lopez, and love the way they're handling him. I think the way he's pitching, you know, at least becomes conducive to longevity throughout the year. So anyhow, more to come there, but hopefully, I think we're heading.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But cool. So apparently, if Sale gives up a home run, a leadoff homer, then it's going to be a good game because he after that he went 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 6 Ks, 1 walk, and 95 pitches, 67 strikes.
His slider looked nasty. He was throwing it at like 77 that game. He pulled it out a bunch of times. And I was going, man, I can't even tell. It looked like a curveball coming out of his hand. And when it reached the plate and then up on the big board, it was like slider, 77. I was like, man, how do you hit that? Especially coming out of his arm slot, right?
That change of
Yeah.
speed is just disgusting.
Yeah.
Like going 95, 96, and then down to like 77. That'd be crazy if he had like an 88-mile-an-hour cutter or something like that too. Like something right in between. But I'm not gonna tell Chris Sale what to do. Like he's killing it so far.
They were talking, let's see, Glavin was on the radio today talking about Sales looking more like his pre-injured self. So from a guy that knows what he's talking about, I'll assume he's right. So it's nice to hear, nice to see.
It's funny you say that because I saw something. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something he did over his past 3 starts. Because I think it was like his past 3 starts, he went 7 innings or something like that. And I think it said the last time he went 3 consecutive starts pitching 7 innings was in 2018.
2018, yes, with Boston. Yep, that's
Yep.
correct. They said that on the radio when we left the game
Yeah.
Friday night too.
You know what else Chris Sale did in 2018? Pitched the
Got a
last
ring.
3 outs of the World Series.
Yeah, I say
Yeah.
World Series.
Or last 3 innings. Was it three? I think it was 3 innings, not just 3 outs. But
I always
yeah, man.
forget about that World Series. Is that weird? I always forget that the Red Sox won one in there. I always
Yeah.
think of it as just being Astros territory, and it's not. They've won
The
two.
Astros only
Right?
won one.
They've won two now, right?
Well, yeah,
Well, he's
the
saying
other one was
asterisk,
in
asterisk.
22.
Yeah. Like what? Yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, I've always forget about the Red Sox, and I think part of it's because they were so awful immediately afterward. Like that team fell off a cliff in 2019 and has not come back. good
To
for
be
mine.
fair, the AL East is hard, man. I think
Yeah.
they're above 500, but they're in last place, I believe.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the Rays might be in last place right now, but
Yeah, because they just got swept by the White Sox, right?
yeah, that's brutal. Get
So,
swept
and
by
then
the
the other
White
good
Sox.
thing about that game 4, the sales start, Ozzy Albies finally came back because apparently he is not made of glass. He's made of whatever. Um, I don't know what's that. What's
Twisted
that?
Steel and Sex
Like,
Appeal.
yeah,
Nailed
he's
it.
I was gonna
Wolverine.
go with
My boy.
whatever. Yeah, Wolverine is made out of adamantium. Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
love
he
I don't know
breaks a
how you
toe.
heal a toe in 10 days, but I'm glad he is because. And apparently, when you come back from toe injury, you just rock doubles into the right field corner because that's what I've seen him do the past weekend. Is everything? It seems like every time he hits it, it's going to that same spot.
Hmm. I'll take that. Give me one or two of those a game. I'll take it.
Because I was worried when he came back, it was going to kind of be a slow start. He's going to have to find his footing again. But nope, he just plugged back into the lineup and did what Ozzy does. So that's very encouraging. And like, hats off to the guys that filled a spot, Fletcher and Yorme. I mean, we didn't even really skip a beat, I feel like, with those guys in there. So
It's like any time a guy goes down, like Sean Murphy goes down. Oh, we got Travis d'Arnaud just waiting, chilling. Gonna come and
Dude,
hit 3 home runs in
Spider.
a game.
Spider going down this rotation, this bullpen is just like, all right, we got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We haven't even really thought about that. I mean, it's wild. And
yeah,
to
any
yeah. I
be
other
to be
team
mean,
loses their ace, and then you'd think they wouldn't still be. In fact, I think
Imagine
we're
the
playing
Phillies
a little
losing
bit better.
Zach Wheeler.
Yeah,
What are they without Zach Wheeler?
yeah. I mean, who knows? I think they have a really good rotation thus far this year. Like Ranger
Suarez has been
Suarez
pitching.
is,
Yeah,
yeah,
They've been
he's
doing
finally
well.
pitching well against someone other than us. Um,
We could talk about the Phillies if you want. I'm not that high on them. Yes, they're a very good team, but they've also been playing the White Sox. They've been playing the Nationals. They've been playing like all these teams that aren't that great. Meanwhile, we've played the last four, the final four of last year in the playoffs and went what like 10-2 against them. So
yeah,
whatever. Game
probably something to be
five.
there. Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think that I think Alec Boehm is playing out of his mind. I mean, they're starting like Christian Pache, who, right, and I don't know. I mean, they definitely got,
Braves legend.
yeah, I don't know. It's a
yeah,
weird team for me to kind of rate because I don't feel like I feel like they have the star power that's right there with a elite, the upper echelon of the league. But then I look at that lineup and just kind of wow, there's some huge gaps in here. But what do I know?
Brandon Marsh has been raking though,
Yeah, like is he actually
and
good?
Bohm.
Like,
He's decent. Yeah,
is he? Is
yeah.
Bohm good? I don't know.
I don't
I
think Bohm's good. I think he's hot right now. He just won Player of the Week, the
yeah,
NL
we'll
Player of the
see.
Week. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see. I mean, he's hitting like 365 with over 1,000 OPS. That's not who Alec Bohm is. Like, come on.
but what is the time frame for Player of the Week? Like from what day to what day? Because like how did Travis not get that? I guess because it was across like it was probably this
That was
past week because
last week.
Travis did it a weekend and then going into a week with a weekend. So yeah, Travis
Yeah.
probably last week.
I mean, over a full week, I'm pretty sure Alec Bohm hit like over 400. It might have been even over 500 with like over 1,000 OPS for an entire week, which obviously is very
Okay,
good.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, game five against the Marlins or game two against the Guardians. I mean, 4-2 loss in extra innings. We definitely could have won that game, but Charlie Morton went 7 innings, no runs. That's really good to see from him, especially against the Guardians, who are a pretty good team. I think they probably are a little bit overperforming right now, but one timely hit away from a win for sure. Riley smoked uh a ball to left field. So that's 2 games in a row because he smoked one in game three too.
Yeah, Riley was literal like feet. It was like a foot away from going over the wall. And again, it's that left field just going out there and dying.
Yeah, just wait till it
So
warms up a little bit. I'll be all right. But
and that
yeah,
was the
and then
game that they did the what do you call it? The absolute freezing balls where you got under 32 mile an hour exit velo and they scored two off of that. So 3 hits under 32. And then the inning before that, we had hit 102 plus off the bat and got ground outs, nothing out of it. So, I mean, it's just baseball, right?
Yeah.
Sucks when baseball happens and we lose.
Yeah.
It's a lot cooler when we win.
But
it seems like every game I'm expecting to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
it's I don't. There's been times in my life as a Braves fan where we just suck, and it's like I'm pissed that we're playing during the day because I'd rather listen to Chuck and Chernoff. You know what I mean? Like this is just unlistenable.
Yeah.
And now it's like, man, I like to see 18-6. What's this 18-7? You know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a weird game. It was scoreless through the 8th, right? Yeah, because that was where they got the three infield hits, and we came back and scored 2 right away, which is awesome. And then we got the bases loaded in the 10th, with no outs. Couldn't get it done. I forgot who came out to bat first, but second was
Harris.
Tromp.
It was Harris. That was, you put that square on here. He's got to do more there. He's just got to put the ball somewhere.
Got to put the ball in play.
He weak grounded out. Or no, they came home with it.
I think Harris struck out. I know Trump swung at 3 pitches in the dirt. And
Harris dribbled out to the pitcher.
Yeah, it was weak contact. It didn't go anywhere. And then they came home.
Might as well have struck out for what it's worth. I was just happy it wasn't a double play.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially in Trump's case too. It could have been worse, could have been a double play, but if he had just stood there, they might have walked him. I mean, at least giving him 2 balls and maybe throwing him a heater in the middle that he could hit. But it seems like whenever Trump does get a hit, it's a double in the gap. Like pretty much every time. But it's baseball. Couldn't get it done in game 5, but we took care of business in game 6. We won in extra innings again, or we went 2 extra innings again and then won. I think we're 3-1 in extra innings now, I think, which is pretty good.
Yeah, we had 3 extra inning games this week alone.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, Elder took a comebacker to the ankle. I'm surprised he walked that off. That looked painful.
Okay, me and Ty were saying this when that happened. Okay, so he goes down and he doesn't even make a play for the ball, and they score because they had a man on third. He just kind of walked to home, and like I was like, oh man, he's really done for there. Like they're gonna pull him out because he's limping around, and he didn't even try to make a play on the ball. But then he just walks it off 2 seconds later, and then just gets on the mound, throws a warm up pitch. He's like, yeah, I'm good. But so then I was kind of annoyed. I was like, dude, if you're actually okay, why didn't you try to go get that ball? So like either be hurt and get out of the game, or you got to try to make a play on the ball. So like at the end of the day, it didn't change the end result. And I'm sure more than anything, it probably scared the shit out of him and like just stuck real bad. So like just dazed right there. But still, I was a little bit annoyed. I was like, man, Elder, if you're okay, then you should have at least made a play on it.
Yeah, like you said, it ended up not costing us the game or anything like that. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think, like you said, though, I think it more like just scared them and shocked them more than anything. But it ended up working out. Acuna got his first hit of the series. That looked like an Acuna hit if I've ever seen one. Just absolutely smoked up the middle. I remember looking at StatCast numbers. I think it was like 111 off the bat or something like that. That's the Ronald we need to see more of. There was a balk, 3 throwovers.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
He drew it. He threw over 3 times, and then he just got to get to second, and then Ozzy comes up and smashes it into right field again, and then Acuna scored.
Was that Sunday?
Yeah, that happened.
Happened Friday, I remember.
I thought Friday was the one where we had runners on the corners. You had Harris on first, Acuna on third. Second base was open, and dude spun and faked like he was throwing to second, but there was no one on second. And then they called balk, and Ronald got to score on the balk because it was just a brain fart. So yeah.
I remember that. That was funny. I feel like that's one thing that the Braves do really well too, is they just put so much pressure on the defense, because like not only are they nervous about whoever's hitting at the plate because they're basically Barry Bonds because they play for the Braves, but you got Michael Harris and Ronald on base, like trying to get them not to steal. Like they're just thinking about so many things and also trying to like make a pitch. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of like mental aspect of the game doesn't get talked about enough just the threat of what could happen if they mess something up, and then they inevitably do eventually mess something up most
That's
of the
been
time.
the silver lining with Acuna kind of struggling a little bit right now, right? So like when he does get on base, he's still creating that havoc. So if he's not doing it with his bat, he's doing it with his feet at least. So we'll take that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, his stats have not been super great, but he's still, like you said, he's still getting on base. He's still stealing bags. He's still making good plays in defense, on defense. He's still got a cannon out there. Don't run on Ronald.
Yeah, that
I
was
think that,
that game 2 on Saturday, right?
yeah, when they threw out J-Ram at the plate. Yeah, just insane. Um, but yeah, let's see. Riley walk-off single. So I do want to talk about this. This is the notes I had for the dead ball conspiracy. So Olsen bomb to left field, dies at the track. Yep, I remember seeing that one. I remember I was at the game when he hit that. I stood up, put my hands up, like, oh, it's gone, and then it just like absolutely died. But then again, looked at the Statcast. It was a homer in zero parks, but it was like 112 off the bat, absolutely smoked. But it had like a 910 expected batting average, which is
Yeah.
fun.
I think his
But
launch angle is a little too high. And then, like I said, I think the wind has just been blowing straight across from left field to right field. And everything that if you get any kind of height on those balls right now in Truist, they're just hanging.
yeah,
Need Matt
um,
Olson to like take advantage of that, please. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
if he would
right,
just pull it
like,
to the chop house, it wouldn't be an issue. In fact, the wind would
right.
drive it out.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it's need the lefties to snap
yeah.
out of it. So,
Um,
no, I'm not sure the wind helps going to left there, right? Like, it seems like it's blowing across a fly
it's
ball
like
to right
blowing
field
across, yeah, like straight
and
from left
into,
to right.
yeah.
So
So,
I don't know. But the one that really surprised me was uh Riley's ball that he hit. I think it was in the eighth. That was a homer in 5 out of 30 parks, so it wasn't like as crushed as I thought. But something that's really interesting though is I did a little bit of research on it. So runs per game from last year to this year is down by like 4%, which isn't like a ton, but it's still notable.
Is it year to
OPS,
date or is it like are you just taking the
yeah, year to date,
average
year to
from
date.
okay.
I Sports Illustrated actually did a good article on it. OPS is down 20 points, which is pretty notable as well, from 722 to 698. BABIP, which isn't as relevant, but is down 6 points. So overall, like all of these rule changes that they tried to put in place to like encourage more offense is actually having the opposite effect because there's less offense. Um, and the drag coefficient, bringing this up, Steven, you brought this up earlier. So the drag coefficient on like the ball with the seams on it and like how it spins apparently is higher now than it has been in the past like 10 years.
geez,
The lowest was in 2019 when we had the juiced ball. When the Twins set the home run record that we tied last year. Um, but yeah, all of that's just really fishy. And also, Kenley Jansen came out and said that the balls feel dusty. We have all these pitching injuries going on now. Like, I really think they need to do something in terms of like letting the pitchers get some sort of grip on the ball. Not necessarily spider tack or anything like that. We've talked about this in previous episodes, but I think there is definitely something different about the ball. It's becoming more of a popular topic of conversation on the interwebs, especially Twitter. Um, and I think there's definitely something to it because offense league wide is down.
Trevor May had a really good YouTube video about this the other week. I sent it to y'all, but for anybody that hadn't seen it, go check out Trevor May's YouTube channel. He does it. I mean, he's a former MLB pitcher, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I really enjoy Trevor May's channel. Actually, he makes a lot of really good videos. But cool. We got a couple big series coming up. They're out on the West Coast. The game's actually starting like right now. So we got 3 in Seattle. We got 3 in LA. Anybody want to give any predictions? Do you think Kelenic hits his first run tonight, or first home run tonight?
God, I hope so.
I hope so too. I've got him for over on 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. So we'll see. Um, I'm really curious to see how the fans are going to react to him. If they're going to boo him or cheer him.
he's getting booed.
I think he's going to get booed too.
I don't think he has a reason to boo. They gave up
Yeah,
on
but
him.
with
He made some
Quinn is
comments.
rational behavior.
Yeah. I mean, to be
Yeah.
fair, if I was in their position, I would boo. So, yeah.
The
Yeah.
sentiment I'm reading is that they're just upset with the way they just felt like he was immature when he was with the team. That he
He was like 23. Like, of course he's going to be immature.
Yeah, but again, rational thought, rational behavior,
Fair.
not anyhow.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Pretty cool seeing us up in Seattle. I don't know how often we get up there, but growing up being a big Griffey Jr. fan, just love that colorway and the logos. It looks like a really cool park, man. I'd like to go there one day.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah, I
myself,
think it'd be
my
cool.
wife lived up in Seattle for a summer for an internship when we were still dating. And I went up and visited her in the summer, and I did not think to go to a baseball game. And like I could see the stadium like half a mile from where she was living. I was like, dude, I should have gone to that. But yeah,
They've got
cool
that
park. They've
crazy
got,
like roof, but it's
yeah,
like an
it rolls.
arcade. It's like open air. Yeah.
It's on like a
Okay.
train track, so they can have it. It's kind of like who is it? Sort of like
Houston.
Houston, where they can like have it open or closed, but it's still like open air, even though it's closed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's not what it's not enclosed. Like the walls are open regardless of what they do with the roof.
right,
Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I like that.
exactly. Yeah, but it's just covered because like it's Seattle, it's gonna rain. That's actually they're saying Wednesday it might rain up there, so watch out for that. We might get our third rain out of the year. No, that'd be the fourth rain out of the year.
But they've got the
But
roof, right?
Yeah, they
oh
got a
yeah,
roof.
that's true. I don't know. That's what they were talking about in Chuck and Churnham. So who knows?
Yeah.
Cool. So tonight it looks like we've got Bryce Miller. So I'm kind of torn. He's on my fantasy team. So we'll see how he does against Max Fried, and then if it lines up the same way as it did last week, it'd be Lopez and then Sale. So it should be a pretty good pitching matchup. Seattle has a really good rotation. So we'll see how they do. But yeah, I just pulled it up here. Ronnie's coming up to bat right now. But yeah, do you guys have any final notes, predictions, anything? Oh, I guess we didn't really do predictions yet. My prediction is 3-3 for this week. 3 in Seattle, 3 in LA.
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna come in
gonna.
at 3-3 also.
I guess I'm saying. Yeah, I'm saying 3-3 as well. I think we take two in Seattle, and honestly, I think I'm trying to protect myself from getting my feelings hurt in case the worst case scenario happens. Because I'm saying we only take one out of three of the Dodgers. I don't know. I don't like our pitching matchups compared to theirs out there this weekend coming.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who it'll be. I think Charlie will be pitching in LA and probably
You got
Elder
Charlie Elder. It's gonna be Elder
and
versus Hosmer.
Max.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, they're not great. But I mean, Charlie shoved against the Guardians, but granted, the Guardians and the Dodgers are two totally different animals. But you know, we'll see how that goes.
need to get our three guys. They're slumping, not slumping, going into the Dodgers series for
They're
sure.
showing
Yeah.
signs for sure.
That's my
Yeah.
biggest concern going
I'm
into
going
LA.
4-2.
Okay, love it.
I'm going
You
four
calling
and
4-2?
two. Whether we sweep the Mariners and lose two in LA, or I don't know. I'm going 4-2. I kind of think we're trending at just staying above water as far as like winning all these series. So I guess if we went 3-3, we'd have to lose one of them, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I
love
mean,
it.
we'd have to lose. Yeah.
We got to lose one of the series if we went 3-3. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that Will said. Like, I think it's more of me just being a little bit conservative and not trying to be the Braves homer. Like, oh, we're gonna go 6-0. You know what I mean? You guys predicted 6-0 last week. I predicted 4-2, and we went 5-1. So we kind of split the difference there. But
Yeah.
I
I
think
said 5-1 with two Olsen home runs, so I didn't get my two home runs, so he owes me two
yeah,
now, apparently.
yeah. I think 4-2 is like realistic for this week. But if we go 3-3 after going out west, I'm not upset with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Against two
no,
good
that'd be
teams too. Right. Like I think
yeah.
the Mariners are pretty good. The Dodgers are obviously good. I would
Mhm.
feel more confident if Riley, Olsen, and Acuna were playing better. Right.
Yeah.
Like
Hopefully,
those
this
could
is the
cause
trip that gets them going.
it could happen any moment now, right? Like, I could be eating my words in 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So
Riley and
I
Olsen have
feel
been
like
crushing the ball. So
yeah. I feel like we really don't mind going into Dodger Stadium either. I'd have to look up the record as of late, but it seems like we do pretty
last year
well
was the year
there.
they turned it around, but leading up to that, the record was not good in LA.
Went
Okay.
4-7 last year. So we'll see.
4-7. We only played 4 games there. We went 3-1 last year.
Oh, I'm sorry. We took 4 out of 7 against the Dodgers
Oh yeah,
overall. And yes, you're right. We went 3 out of 4 at their place.
yeah, exactly. But cool. You guys have anything else you want to add?
Nah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for watching the episode 4 Talking Chop podcast, and be sure to like and subscribe, all the good stuff. Follow us at Tawkin Chop with a W on all the platforms, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. And we will see you in the next one.
Have a
Thanks.
nap, take some coffee, go Braves.
Yeah, right.
Woo!
It's gonna be late nights this week, but I'm all for it. I'm kind of a night owl anyway.
Likewise.
Bryce Miller just struck out Acuna and Albies back to back, so good start.
All right, later, y'all.
All right, see you guys.